Hello there, everybody. My name is Louise Martin. I am a mindfulness teacher, and today is one of 6 short sessions to help you understand a little bit more about what mindfulness is, see if it's something that can benefit you in your life, and learn some of the pitfalls people can get into when they're learning mindfulness, how to overcome them, and then what the benefits might be as well. So this is a really hands-on session because you're going to be actually practicing mindfulness. We're going to do a mindfulness meditation. And after that, we're going to go into a bit more about, what is mindfulness, what isn't mindfulness, and how it can help us. Okay, so let's start off actually doing a little practice session. So the way that we start with mindfulness is by checking in with our posture. Now, we often think that mindfulness is about getting away or escaping, but actually mindfulness is about waking up rather than drifting off. It's about waking up and coming home to the present moment. So what we do with our posture is we sit in an upright position, um, not in a way that hurts our backs, but in a way that's kind of saying to our minds, look, I have the intention of being alert and awake and present for this practice. Hi there. Hi, Lindsay. So let's get. Hi. We're just about to start doing a meditation. So this is just a very brief introduction to what mindfulness is all about. And then maybe we can have a little kind of discussion after the session about what you found about it, if it was difficult, if it was easy, problems that you had with it, because that's all part of the learning process. So just sitting a little bit upright because we're intending to be awake for this practice, but it's absolutely okay if you drift off to sleep as well. Sometimes that happens. And yeah, just kind of checking in with our posture as well. So, you know, often we're so much in our heads that we don't check in with the body. So this is a good moment to just check in with the body and say, right, are there any ways that I'm holding my posture that I could maybe make some slight adjustments to be more comfortable, to be kinder to myself. So often we hold our, shoulders hunched, or we may be sitting with our backs kind of rolled over. And maybe we can just, check in with that and say, okay, do I need to be holding my shoulders up or squint with my back? Can I be kinder to my musculoskeletal system? So just taking a moment to check in with that, making some slight adjustments to posture. And while we're meditating, we always want to be comfortable. So if you do need to put, a cardigan on or something to help keep you warm, or something in your lower back to support that, please do take a moment to do that as well. Okay. And then we'll begin the meditation session. So this is just going to be for 10 minutes, and I will guide you through this practice. So if anything feels really uncomfortable for you in any way, then always tune in to your own wisdom. What might not feel right for you feels fine for others, and vice versa. So, just if something doesn't feel right or feels overwhelming, just come back to the room and bring your attention back to something else other than the meditation. Okay, so if you'd like to, closing your eyes. Also, play around with keeping your eyes open too. Not everybody wants to have their eyes closed when they're meditating. So there's no wrongs or rights here. You can certainly have your eyes closed. That might help you. Other people find that really distracting. So you can also have your eyes open. So if they're open, rather than be kind of staring around and looking at things, just having a soft, slightly downward gaze. Okay, so if your eyes are closed or open, I'd like you just to bring your attention now to the coming and going of breath in your body. So you're always breathing. So the breath is always here as a place to rest your attention on. And all we're doing is just resting attention on the coming and going of breathing. So we do this in a particular way. So rather than think about our breathing, we're more being present with the sensations of breath. So you might be able to feel sensations of air coming in through your nostrils, your chest maybe rising and falling, maybe the diaphragm muscles expanding and contracting. There's all sorts of sensations involved with that in and out breath. So you're most welcome to follow the whole journey from in breath all the way through the nose into the chest, then follow the journey of out breath again. Or you can just rest your attention in one particular part of the breath. So you might feel comfortable just resting your attention maybe on the chest area, the rise and fall of your upper chest, or the nostril area where you can feel the cooler air coming in and warmer air coming out. So these are very ordinary sensations that we're resting our attention on. And no doubt your mind will be pulling your attention away from this practice into various thoughts, planning thoughts, to-do list thoughts, maybe going over what's happened this morning thoughts, maybe daydreamy thoughts, or kind of just drifting into sleepiness almost. So each time you notice that your attention is drifted away from the breathing sensations into more thinking, drifting away into thinking, then the practice is simply just to recognize, oh, that's me away thinking, and then guiding your attention back gently and kindly to the sensations of breath again. So we're not trying to have any kind of special experience here. We're not trying to force ourselves into a state of relaxation. All we're trying to do is rest our attention on the sensations of breathing. That's it. And the breath breathes all by itself. There's no need for us to try and control it in any way. We're simply just resting in the body, paying attention to the sensations of breath with kind eyes. There's nothing for us to do here. No need for us to jump in and try and control anything. Just simply watching sensations arise, stay a while, and disappear again. And rather than bringing an attitude to this practice of, yeah, well, I know what these sensations are, bring an attitude almost of childlike curiosity, as if you are experiencing breathing sensations for the very first time, really taking that curious set of eyes, really being with those breathing sensations, curious and open-minded. Nothing else for you to do, and nowhere else for you to go. Each time your attention drifts into thinking, which it will do many, many times, just gently noticing this and then bringing your attention back to this coming and going of breath and the sensations that go along with it. Coming back to the sensations of breath over and over. No need to try and change the breathing in any way. Just remembering that you're always breathing. So the breath is always here for you as an alternative place to rest your attention upon. And as the practice comes to a close, just beginning to open your eyes gently, take in the room that you're in or the environment that you're in. You're seeing what you're hearing, maybe feeling your body on the chair that you're sitting on, points of contact. And remembering we can still always keep a light touch of our attention on breath, even when the meditation practice, the formal meditation practice, has finished. Okay, so that was just a little taster session today into just, what's it like to try out a mindfulness meditation. So if you'd like to share out loud how that was, or type indeed in the chat, that's also fine. Um, Anything that you found difficult about that practice, or anything that you found beneficial, or if you've tried meditation before and found it hasn't worked, anything like that. There's no rights or wrongs. So feel free to share your experience of that practice if you'd like to. I'll just give you a moment if you do want to type or speak. So let me just explain why we were doing that practice. And, really today is about understanding, well, what is mindfulness and what isn't mindfulness? And doing an actual practice can really help us to understand that. So the definition of mindfulness is about being present in the moment. Um, so the reason why we bring our attention to the sensations of breath is because you can only experience your breath in this moment. You can't experience your breath from an hour ago or tomorrow, if that makes sense. So when you guide your attention to breathing sensations, that brings you back to the present moment, no matter where you've been. And because you're always breathing, the breath is then always here as a guide to bring you back to the present moment. It's always, always here. So that's the first aspect of mindfulness, the most simple aspect. But you might be thinking, well, why would I want to be in the present moment? And when I'm not in the present moment, where am I? And this is where we, come into the terminology autopilot. So this is typically the default that our attention is at, rather than the mindful attention. So most of the time, we're on this autopilot mode. We're just kind of lost in thoughts, and we're engaged or caught up in thinking about the past. That might be the immediate past, something that's happened at work today, or something that happened yesterday, or even a long time ago. Or we're caught up in thoughts about the immediate or long-term future. So we might be, going through our to-do list of what's next on my list, or trying to solve something or plan ahead, and so forth. So as an example of how often we spend our lives in autopilot, I think probably everyone can resonate with this one. If you do drive a car, have you gone from, A to B and got to B and sort of thought to yourself, I don't really know how I got here. You've got no memory really of the journey. And that's an example of us being on autopilot. So the body goes through the motions of driving the car and paying attention and so on. But actually, there's another part of us that's completely elsewhere, this autopilot mode, and maybe thinking about our day at work or something like that. So we as human beings, particularly adults, we spend a great many of our waking sort of hours in this autopilot mode. So we're not here in the present moment. We're lost in autopilot. There's other kind of examples of this as well. Maybe, you have a shower in the morning, you go through the motions, you leave the house, you can't remember if you've locked the door or switched the cooker off. So there's all these kind of examples of, you were there, your body was there, but you don't really remember going through those kind of processes in the morning, because actually you weren't showing up for it with your attention. So what's wrong with being in autopilot mode? A lot of people might say, well, it's good because, it helps me to be more efficient. I can kind of, wash the dishes plus plan my, what I'm going to do after I've washed the dishes. So I can multitask, or I can drive home and, ruminate over or reflect over what went on at work today and plan what I'm going to make for dinner. So yes, in a way, it's quite good, isn't it? This ability to be able to multitask, but very often actually, it doesn't make us more efficient, especially if we are doing something unsafe, or if we have to go back and do something again. You might have done a piece of work and then looked back on it and thought, why did I do that? I made so many mistakes, because you maybe just weren't showing up for what you were doing, showing up fully. You were distracted in your mind. So in many ways, it doesn't make us efficient, because we have to go back and redo things, or we miss vital details about what went on because we weren't paying attention, and kind of have to go back and redo it in a sense. So there's that aspect that being on autopilot maybe isn't that helpful. And then the other aspect of it is that if we're maybe doing something nice, so say for example, we're going for a nice walk in a park or in a forest, or we go for a nice meal or have a nice meal at home, or put a nice film on, or have a bath, or whatever your things are that you like to do. Maybe you like coffee. You sit down to have your morning coffee or something like that. Um, there's all sorts of, pleasant things going on in our life, but actually, you're not going to get the benefit of them if you're not showing up for them. So you can have a lovely meal, but not really get the benefit of enjoying it if actually you're distracted away in your thoughts, for, that meal, or if you're out in a walk in a beautiful place, lovely place of nature, if you're going round and round your problems, you're not really taking in the environment around you and getting the benefit from it. So, the present moment in so many ways is the calmest, most neutral place you can be. If you actually think this very moment, there is no problem in this absolute moment. Problems are always in the past or in the future. So when we spend all our time in this autopilot mode, it's having a twofold, detrimental effect on our mental health, because first of all, we're not showing up for the things in the present moment that could help us, just letting the sunlight in, looking at flowers, plants, enjoying a coffee or time with a friend. All those things really, really are restorative for our mental health and well-being. And in addition to that, the types of places you go when you're in autopilot are very often negative. So when you think about your drive home or your bus journey home from work, rather than going over what went well today at work, you will typically go over the one thing that maybe went wrong. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you start, getting into caught up with thinking and the autopilot mode, rather than be thinking of things you're excited about or looking forward to, you might be worrying. So going over future scenarios, like what might happen, what if this, what if that, and usually catastrophe type scenarios. So today's session is really just about learning that the default state for us as human beings is to be in this autopilot mode. We are generally not here in the present moment. We'll show up for glimpses of it, but the body's always here, but mentally we're not. Um, and we're very, very distracted into thinking. So the mind is so much like a snow globe. If you think of a snow globe, when you shake it up, the flakes of snow are all swirling round. That's a bit like the mind. Um, those flakes, each of those flakes is like a thought, and we will typically jump from one thought to another frantically for hours at a time. So we're really not showing up for our lives, and what life is actually a series of moments unfolding. The past and the future don't exist. So mindfulness is all about coming out of autopilot. First, we have to accept, hang on, I am on this autopilot mode a lot of the time. So the first lesson of today is I'd like you to go away today and spend this week just simply noticing how distracted you are. So you can download an app called Insight Timer. So that is a free app on the Apple and Google Play stores, and you can set it to ring randomly. So it's not a phone ring, it's like a meditation gong, and it just rings randomly. And that can be your prompt to go, oh, where was I there with my attention? So it's like a random bell ringing to sort of make you go, where was I there? Was I lost in thought, or was I actually present in the moment? So the very first stage of mindfulness is to realize this state of distraction that we're in, the default state almost. And then from there, we can begin to practice mindfulness, which is the opposite of being on autopilot or lost in thought. We're basically, learning to be more present. We all have that skill of being present in the moment. I'm sure you've all experienced glimpses of that in your life, and maybe sitting at the top of the mountain taking in an incredible view, or we've all had it, holding your first child in your arms, all these different things, but it's just they're glimpses. So the point of this course is to really increase the amount of time that you're being present in your life, and from there usually then there are a lot of benefits physically, mentally, and emotionally. And we'll go through these as we go through the course. It will get deeper, and you'll learn different things each week. So yeah, really for this week, just pay attention to where your attention is. And if you'd like to begin practicing a little bit of mindfulness, we've done a tiny little taster there about how you do that. So the breath sensations are very ordinary, but they're always here. So think of them like almost like an anchor line, gently guiding you back to safe harbor. So safe harbor is like your being present moment. So when we get lost in thought, we drift out to sea, and that going, oh, that's me lost in thought again. You can just guide your attention back to the breath sensation, and that's you back in the present moment. And you can either do that formally by just saying, I'm going to sit here for 5-10 minutes and focus on breath, or you can just do it informally throughout your day. You're always breathing anyway, so the breath's always there to bring your attention to, and that can be quite steadying, especially if you're starting to feel a bit stressed or overwhelmed. You can just come to your breath, and then whatever you've been kind of going through your head, you're just getting away from that for a little bit of a rest. So yeah, there's so many benefits to being present in the moment. And people often say, after they've been on a mindfulness course, well, nothing in my life actually changed, but so much has changed. So this course is not about you having to make big changes in your life. It's just simply when you begin to become more mindful, um, lots of things begin to change and you begin to feel better. So yeah, nothing changes, but everything changes. So I hope that that's helpful for today's first session. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat, or indeed, say, or if there's anything you'd like to share about the practice today or the session today, please feel free to type in the chat.
Thanks, Louise. Kind of comically, I booked this in for this afternoon and then ended up distracted on other things that are sort of in the background. You can't help but think. So I think I've learned a lesson from you today that is set aside the time. So I'm glad you have this recorded. And I'm really it's a good lesson for me on don't try to even multitask, especially not on mindfulness. So yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome, Lindsay. No problem at all. And next week we're going to be, we start off really gently here, so it's just a case of keep checking in with your attention. Well, where was I there? Because actually you've got to learn that. You've got to sort of notice that you are lost in thought.
Yeah.
Before you have to almost become mindful of that before you can actually start kind of working towards being in the present.
Definitely. No, I can totally see that message, and I'll look forward to the rest of the recordings. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem at all. Lovely to meet you.
Thanks,
Take care. Bye.